It seems our country's fiscal outlook is eroding so quickly that heads are spinning at the nation's leading budget watchdog. The Congressional Budget Office has just issued revised and potentially even more concerning updates for projections for what could be in store for the deficit, the national debt, and the American people. Economic uncertainty means you have to keep up with what's happening. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll keep you in the know. In February, the Congressional Budget Office published a report in which it projected that the annual budget deficit for fiscal year 2024 would finish the year at $1.6 trillion, representing 5.6% of GDP. In the same report, the CBO also forecast that gross national debt would reach $54 trillion by 2034. But as the saying goes, that was then, and this, just 5 months later, is now. It seems the nation's fiscal outlook is eroding so fast that the CBO felt it necessary to update its earlier projections already. The agency now says the deficit is on track to come in at nearly $2 trillion this year, an increase by roughly 25% over the prior estimate. If that's how it actually plays out, the 2024 budget deficit will officially replace the 2023 deficit as the third highest in U.S. history. Furthermore, the new deficit projection now is expected to come in at 7% of GDP. If that holds true, it will be the highest deficit to GDP ratio outside of the extraordinary years that marked World War II, the financial crisis, and the global health crisis. The CBO expects the long-term deficit burden to grow larger. From 2025 through 2034, the agency forecasts the cumulative deficit to reach $22.1 trillion, an increase of more than $2 trillion over the sum projected 5 months ago. The CBO director, Philip Swagel, issued a statement noting that the revised deficit projections are about 70% larger than their historical average over the past 50 years when measured in relation to economic output. The CBO says there are numerous reasons driving these revised deficit projections, including an expansion of the student loan forgiveness program, more aid to U.S. allies, and a boost in healthcare spending. Here's the thing. There's no way for deficit projections to change this much without national debt increasing as well. And that's a problem. The CBO now projects the gross federal debt to stretch above $56 trillion by 2034, roughly $2 trillion more than February's forecast. Reacting to the CBO's revisions, Maya McGinnis, president of the nonpartisan Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, said, "The risks that we run from this growing mountain of debt run the gamut from slower economic growth to lower incomes, an inability to respond to emergencies, and a weaker role in the world. Nothing could be more urgent. But none of our leaders have a plan to address this glaring problem." McGinnis's frustration at the unwillingness of elected officials to address the unsustainable fiscal trajectory echoes that of Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, who had this to say on TV's 60 Minutes. "It's past time to get back to an adult conversation among elected officials about getting the federal government back on a sustainable fiscal path. History is not on the side of government officials all of a sudden becoming fiscally responsible, which might lead us all to consider what we need to do for ourselves. As the Wall Street Journal recently put it, it's always easier to put off the day of reckoning, but it will come, whether we're ready for it or not. We should prepare for future storms while there's still time. The events happening today lead me to the conclusion that it is better to take action today rather than sitting and hoping. That's why I suggest you take the time to learn more about what's really going on in the economy by attending our exclusive one-on-one web conference at AugustaPreciousMetals.com/webconference.